So some of you may have recently seen my MechWarrior 5 epic fail video. You can't anymore because I've made it unlisted, and for a good reason. Looking back, this video is very much a of the time video. It doesn't really need to be there past a certain amount of time, and anyone who comes to the channel long after this will be somewhat in the dark, and likely questioning why the video is even there. So, just shy of a month, the video has been unlisted, and the reason it isn't deleted is to act as a reminder to me how not to react when it comes to gaming news and their developments. Now, this isn't some about-face video where I tell you all to rush out and buy MechWarrior 5. It's far from that. This is a clarification of my view on the ever-evolving Epic Games Store controversy, and how new details have begun to emerge over time since the initial rush of exclusives. Now, if you don't already watch him, I highly recommend taking a look at Jim Sterling and his Jimquisition videos. One of his most recent videos involves a pretty good look at the Epic situation and highlights some interesting points. The main one I took from this was the point about the rage, the anger, and the way this only works to damage other channels criticising the actions of Epic. Now, my video certainly didn't help anything with the discussion, that's for sure. It was cathartic, I'll admit, and I'm sure it was a good way for many to also vent their own frustration, but it doesn't help the discussion about the issue as a whole. The other main takeaway from Jim's video was the news that indie developers are being given no choice when it comes to being available on the Epic Games Store. This is evidenced by the recent news from developer of indie title Dark. A mostly one-man team, his game had gained traction on Steam and had been on the top wish lists for many players, so much so that Epic themselves contacted him. Now, they were pleasant enough, but the contact was to bring his game to Epic exclusively, and when he asked if he could release his game on other stores, they replied they were not in a position to do that at this time. Essentially, Epic are poaching games for their store, and only the titles they know are popular, or have a certain amount of hype. It's a tactical move, of course, but shows the store only cares about doing damage to Steam, while not giving much of a damn about customer choice here, rather than offering the revenue split for Epic and allowing a developer their choice of stores to release on. They want to squeeze the market. The hypocrisy is also made more apparent when games like Cyberpunk, for instance, from a major developer like CD Projekt Red, can be on all major stores without any issue from Epic. So when they say they aren't in a position to offer multi-platform release, they actually mean, we only want to deny Steam your game, and good luck with dealing with the kickback from players afterwards. PGI are basically a mid-tier developer, closer to indie than A, but certainly one that needs every penny it can get. We know from the AMA that Russ did speak to Epic back in late 2018, and then in April 2019. The initial talks went nowhere, but the later talks did start the ball rolling during the tail end of the original batch of pre-orders, and Russ did answer when questioned with regards to a multi-platform release with, "Epic wouldn't let us." I find that interesting. This means that they likely did intend to continue with the plan on releasing on Steam and Good Old Games, but the deal and its juicy revenue share meant that they had to take the exclusivity, knowing it would create this shitstorm, but Epic wouldn't give them the option to release on all storefronts. Though, this doesn't excuse the lies told by Russ during the months between April and July. When asked, he said there was no deal with Epic. The developer of Ooblets also went with Epic exclusively recently, and this resulted in a similar, though somewhat more venomous, response from the player base. And as a side note here, I do not and never will condone harassment of a developer over social media or in real life. Criticize all you want over business decisions, actions taken, calling people assholes on forums and streams and videos, but going out of your way to directly message these people with some of the stuff the Ooblets devs received is completely wrong and is not the way to approach this in any scenario. That aside, we see that Epic has forced this decision with their my way or the highway approach, and at the same time comes out in support of the devs by offering support against these attacks. But if you look at it based on how Epic are acting, they're using the negative perception of their store as a tool to score bonus PR points when it does erupt, and likely will continue for months ahead as more titles become exclusive. This could have very easily happened to Dark's developer had he chosen to take the deal. Epic would have stepped up publicly to offer support, but they created the outrage first with their disingenuous approach of exclusivity when other major titles can release on any number of stores. The thing is, Epic doesn't need to offer exclusives to draw in developers. The revenue split is the best out there and really encourages all major and smaller titles to release there as well as Steam and others, but Epic are being aggressive and want to force the customer to them while acting like the saviour of the developer, attacking Steam over a percentage that Good Old Games also take on every sale on their store. As the Epic Store also increases in size, we'll see a similar feeding frenzy on the store page as titles fight for space and visibility, all the while development and studio leads espouse better visibility as a reason for being there in the first place. Though Epic have also gone on record as saying that things like preloads are not something they can do at the moment, as they lack the infrastructure and bandwidth to do such things. Perhaps if they stopped throwing so much money around to poach titles from the competition, they could afford these key elements for a successful online storefront. So where do I stand on Epic? I've made it clear in Discord chat and some comments, but overall my view is this. If a developer makes a game and never announced a Steam release or a Good Old Games release and always intended to be on Epic, I'm fine with that. I don't believe the launcher is spyware for the Chinese government or a malware. If that was the case, I'm sure other major news websites would have blown the lid on this story given the current hot topic that Epic currently is. I agree they have security issues with regards to hacked accounts which they need to fix and would definitely bring the store up to par with Steam to be counted as a real legitimate alternative. My issue specifically with MechWarrior 5 is a mix of the lying by Russ when questioned about a release on Epic in the intervening months, to which he said no, that was a lie. I can't support them because of this, because it would reward them for such actions, and who's to say they won't lie again in the future, and, when you look at it, the pre-orders were essentially zero-interest loans. Epic factor in because of how they not only strangle the market by forcing exclusives on us, the customer, they also treat developers to a two-tier system. One where the big developers can choose to release on any store what front they wish, while the other is either their store as an exclusive or not at all. A somewhat two-faced system, given the image that Tim Sweeney wants to reflect, and it doesn't really spin that narrative at all when you look at it. Overall then, I agree with anyone who feels that they've been cast aside by a developer who took the money and ran essentially after they supported them. Shenmue 3 is a good example of this. And thus, people who will abstain from buying the games on Epic or even buying them at all. It's their choice and a valid one for sure. Epic need to get their store up to par before any serious thought can be given to buying on their platform, and even then, the petty exclusive deals need to stop. Epic has the best split out there for sales, but they don't need to do this at all. But, this is, as others have said already, is rampant capitalism unchecked. Thanks for listening, everybody. What's your review on it? What's your opinion? And let's see if we can get a conversation started about it. Let's keep it civil, obviously, and see how we go. Alright, thanks for listening. Bye.